Our scripture lesson this morning, our text really, is from the 2nd chapter of Deuteronomy, the 7th verse. The Lord your God has blessed you in all the work of your hands. He has watched over your journey through this vast wilderness. These 40 years, the Lord your God has been with you, and you have not lacked anything. I am sure that most of you can remember when you were young. Irv Burton may have a little more problem with that. But I remember, I'm sure most of you have used the 4 famous words relating to travel. Now, if you didn't use them, I'm sure you have heard them from your kids and your grandkids. Let's set a scene here. Everybody has talked about some great, exciting event you're going to be a part of, a picnic, a travel to a theme park, whatever. And everybody is all excited. They all get in the car. You load up the car with everything. You back out of the driveway. You're barely on the road. And from the back, you hear the tiny little 4 words, and say them with me, "Are we there yet?" Yes, yes. There's something about life, isn't it, that we are so excited about where we are and we are excited about where we're going, but that in-between trip can be very wearing, sometimes demoralizing, and sometimes scary. I mean, what's the adult equivalent of "are we there yet"? Ever see anybody who has had a dream of some place they want to go, a bucket list kind of thing, and finally they've reached that place in life that they can do this? And so they are all set to go to wherever it is, Europe, Far East, Alaska, Hawaii, wherever. And you talk to them the day before and you say, "Boy, I bet you're all excited, ready to go." "Well, yeah." "Well, what do you mean, yeah, Well, I really want to go. But if somebody could just give me a pill when I get on the airplane so that I fall asleep and wake up there, it'd be okay. But I just dread that long journey. Are we there yet?" I wonder if Moses had that out in the wilderness. Think about it. Denny talked about this in his sermon last week. Here the people there have had all of the excitement of the events leading to leaving Egypt. All the drama of the desert, receiving the 10 Commandments and other events. They get up to the very shore of the Jordan River and they're ready to cross, and then the people's faith fails, their courage fails, and God says, "Okay, do another lap around Mount Sinai." And they go out for 40 years. I mean, how many times in 40 years does Moses say to God, "Are we there yet?" And yet, this seems to be how it is. That God, we believe, takes each of us on what we call the journey of life. As Christians, we believe that all of life has the purposeful quality in which from birth to death and we evolve into heaven, that God takes us from destination to destination. And we understand that. Some of these are very positive, some not so much, but always something we can deal with. The problem comes when we are in the in-betweens, where something has ended and we haven't yet started something new, and we can't see exactly what's happening. And there are lots of these in life, and some of them are small, some big, some catastrophic almost, these transitions. But we have lots of them. Let me just mention a few of them. One of them comes certainly when somebody finishes high school, and particularly college, And now they're ready to go to find that first job and a career. Well, today, particularly, this can be pretty difficult to find that job. And so this young person is saying, wait a minute, I did a good job in school, and I worked hard. And I know I can do a good job, and wherever I go, and I can make an impact in my career. But when am I going to get that job, Lord? Are we there yet? What happens when we have some kind of serious illness or infirmity that's going to affect us the rest of the life? And we can't do the things we had taken for granted we could do, and yet we're looking for the Lord to give us some guidance to what can we do in the circumstances we are in, and I still don't see that clearly. And I say, when are we there yet, Lord? What about when a divorce or death of a spouse, where a relationship has ended and love has been here, and I'm not sure where the destination is out here, and right now there's just kind of an emptiness. Are we there yet, Lord? What about when we are finishing a ministry and either we've been so involved, we've loved it, and yet either the ministry has ended or we're getting whispers saying, hey, maybe it's time to move on. And yet there's no clear picture here, and yet we know this is happening. And we say, are we there yet, Lord? You see, the list could go endless, but these transitions are pretty tough sometimes. You see, the nature of where we are is this, that God has wired each of us to be involved in something solid, something serious, something in which we can make an impact, something that has substance with Him. And sometimes these are difficult, sometimes they're easy, but we can handle these with God. And there's a satisfaction. And many of us found that in retirement. We come and we become involved in ministries like at North Lake. And wow, this has been some of the best years of our lives. But what happens now in our retirement when we're now having to shift gears and find a new ministry? Are we there yet, Lord? Because God has created us for substance. And so what happens in this in-between journey? Well, let me make a few suggestions. I bet you guessed I was, didn't you? First of all, when we are involved in these times, let's never forget that God is still the pilot. See, let's use this journey of a long airplane trip. This, to me, stands out because if anybody knows Stan O'Loughlin, you know that if I were a kid today, they would put the label, attention deficit, and underline it. I cannot sit still for longer than 15 minutes. I can't read a book for longer than 10 or 15 minutes. I read 5 or 6 books at a time. I am a multitasker. Now, we used to have a lady in the church who helped me in the office, and I love that lady forever because I always thought my office was sloppy. She said, no, you're just a multitasker. That is better, isn't it, Bill? Yes. But that's who I am. And for me to say, I'm going to take a long airplane ride, wait a minute, that's a tough time. So if we look using this journey as an airplane, let's remember who the pilot is.